Welcome and good morning to all of you. Today, in fact, in the first session, I'll be talking about I'll be one case study which our students carried out in one of the textile manufacturing industry. Okay, this case study pertains to the Nahar spinning mills, and in fact, it is just the application of what we have learned in these 2 days, where we talked about the ergonomics, how it has to be applied, and what are its various advantages. Okay. In fact, this is Nahar Spinning Mill. This is a textile manufacturing company which was established way back in 1949, and the chairman of the company is Mr. J.L. Oswal, and they are exporting their textiles to various countries throughout the world. Okay, some of them are listed here. And the main objective, when our students were carrying out this study, we framed some initial objectives. Okay. So the first objective, if you see, was to improve the physical comfort of workers along with enhancement of quality and productivity. So the main aim is, because the management was saying that the basic question, as usual with the management, is that if you wanted to do this study, what are its advantages to us? Okay, so in fact we have framed this objective with that in mind, and we said that not only will be improving the physical comfort of the workers, but at the same time it will enhance the quality of the product and also increase the productivity of individual workers. Okay, so they were satisfied with the first objective. Then we said that to improve their awareness regarding health and safety measures by reducing operator fatigue and discomfort. So this indirectly relates to the ergonomic aspects, and we said that this will help them in reducing the number of leaves and the other safety measures if we take, and that will help them in the long run. So the second objective was that. And the methodology which was adopted by the student was that they carried out a survey on the health and safety of operators with the help of personal interaction and questionnaire. In fact, they framed a questionnaire because I told them that before you interact with the individual operators working in different sections, you should have pre-framed questions with you, because every time you may not remember that this question is to be asked. So just take a questionnaire along with you, ask them the questions, because they may not get a time to fill it up. So ask them questions and you yourself fill it up. So they had a personal interaction at the same time, the questionnaire they were carrying. And then the second one was consultation with orthopedicians regarding proper sitting and working postures of operator. So after getting the different postures of operators who were working on different stations in the factory, so they consulted the orthopedicians regarding the postures, and then based on that advice, they had carried out some changes in the postures of the workers. Then the third step was to create awareness among operators about health and safety with the help of posters and banners. So this was just a precautionary measures which my students have done. In fact, they were just trying to create the awareness about the health and safety, okay, by putting on some posters or banners and educating them that how this will help them in the long run. So this methodology was adopted in that company, okay. And just see the this first observation which my students had. Okay, this is the lady who was doing this stitching work in that, because they were manufacturing the textile, they were cutting it and then stitching it, and the product, finished product, they were sending it there. Now the posture in which this lady is sitting, how drastically she is bending his back. Okay, so in a long run, all this leads to musculoskeletal diseases, and they find it quite difficult, because the moment they stop their work and they try to stand upright, they experiences the pain in the back. Okay, so the second observation, you can just see that how this person is picking up the clothes from the bin and bending his sides. And in fact, when he bends its sides, you can very well see that this portion, how much he's bending. Okay, so the complete backbone as well as the neck bone, he's bending it, and number of times when he picks up this in a shift, so he'll be bending that, and in the long run, again, it all leads to musculoskeletal diseases, and which is not beneficial when we see the health of a worker. Okay, and in this case, the third observation which they have found that when the workers they were picking up the load, okay, just see that how he's picking up and then how he's bending it, and again this results in the back portion that getting is too much stressed, again leading to disease. So all these different postures which we are seeing, this 1, 2, and 3 postures, these postures were discussed with the orthopedicians, and then based on their advice, then they have carried out the work. Okay, so the problem arises, these are the common problems when they have asked in the questionnaire what type of pain you experiences when you go back to your house. It's not only there that at the finish of the work they are asking. In fact, I told them to ask the questionnaire that when they reach their home, in which portion they are experiencing the pain or facing the problem. So these are the common areas which they have suggested: shoulder pain, cervical pain, legs problem, back ache. Okay, and when they have tried to group up all these findings, you can just see that the pains, the problem area, backache 30%, okay, leg pain 22%, and 26% they said that they had toe pain and swelling. Okay, because they were using their foot for stitching. It was in fact a manual machine. They were using it for doing the stitching operation. So mostly the workers who were injured, they comment that they had problems in their toe as well as swelling in the evening when they found that after going back. Okay. So working on this, the following aspects, okay. So after studying this, their postures, what type of work they are doing, okay. So the student then they took up these physical factors, that is the chairs or the stools on which they were sitting, the bin carrier through that is that carrier through which they were picking up the clothes for stitching, and then the raw material which they were picking up from the racks, because this raw material was then carried over to the cutting section where the cutting cloth cutting was done, then it was sent to the stitching section. Okay, so these were the three physical factors which they have taken to modify, that is the chair, the bin carrier, and the racks. Okay, then from the health and other awareness point of view, the environmental factors which they have taken as the first aid boxes, and then they have tried to create the health awareness by posters. Okay, so this was the, in fact, if we see the stool on which these workers who were operating the machine, they were sitting, just see the stool which they were using. Okay, it doesn't have any back support. Okay, this tool was a very simple tool, having no back support, no cushioning was there. It was a very hard surface. Okay, lack of height adjustable for everybody. They were given the same type of stool. Okay, lack of proper footrest. Okay, so for footrest only these rods were provided. Okay, now these, because they have also found out that some of the people they were placing some cloth while sitting on the top of this stool. Some were using some packing at the bottom, and they were finding it that its the stool height is less. Okay, so they were trying to do their own adjustment. Okay, so it was an improper stool. Now, chairs should be placed at an appropriate distance from the workstation. In fact, they have studied this, that what should be the placement of a chair and what should be the different angles while doing the stitching operation. So they have found out that chairs should be placed at an appropriate distance from the workstation, so workers can perform tasks without pulling their elbows away from the body. So this is in fact is the most comfortable position, where you are keeping your elbow just at the level of the table where you are working. But when they were using the stools, okay, this height was varying for different workers. At the same time, this elbow, for some of the workers it was below, some of the workers it was high. So like that, they were finding it quite difficult to work with it. Motor placement should not interfere with proper chair distance. Viewing distance should be greater than 40 centimeters. So this distance where from where they can view the different operations, again, this should be greater than 40 centimeters. So sitting posture, wrist in neutral position, elbow at side, lower back supported. So this chair used to support the back, okay. Back inclined at 90, 120 degree. Okay, this angle between this and this, it should be 90 or at the most 120 degree. Knees at 90 degrees as high or higher than hips. Thighs should be supported, means this thigh, it should get a good support while sitting on the chair. Feet flat on the floor. Okay, so this type of arrangement. Okay, somebody, some of the workers, they were using their own made this type of thing, and some are just putting their feet on the ground. Chair adjusted to comfortable. So the chair which they could find out, which they have purchased, which they have suggested and they have purchased it, it was an adjustable chair. Swing tables may be tilted slightly towards worker. So this tilt of the table should be slightly towards the worker to enable them to see the work more easily and to reduce awkward wrist positions. When swinging heavy fabric, the table may be tilted away from the workers. Edges of work surface should be padded or rounded so workers can rest their arms against them. In fact, this they have tried that all these are all the suggestions which they have found, that when you are placing your elbow here, okay, it should, if you are placing it on a hard surface, okay, then again it gets fatigued faster as compared to the padded surface. So, but they couldn't find a padded surface for replacing this hard table. So the proposed chair was this one, which they have found out from the market, and this was the chair, and this is the footrest where they can keep their foot. And again, this is adjustable. Chair height is adjustable, and the dimensions of the chairs which they have recommend: maximum seat height, this 23 to 25 inches. Minimum seat height is 17.5 inches. Okay, again, this variation, in fact, you can adjust this between this minimum seat height and this the maximum, which is there in that seat adjustment is there. Diameter of seat 17 inches, back height is this, back width is this. And this is how, you know, when they have placed this, okay, this is how the workers were then sitting and doing the operations. Okay, their back was getting support. They are able to place their thigh hairs, and the foot, they are able to keep it on that foot rest. And this is how they are placing their foot. Okay, and you know what happens? Yeah, this is short height of bends. You know, they are trying to bend that, and uh, this variation in bending is also there, because when this bin is full, okay, the curvature, I mean the body bend is less, but as the bin is getting emptied, okay, more bending of the body is there. So the variation, there is a change in angle between this, and over a period of time when he's doing that work, so bin needs to be designed according to that. So this is the bin basically which they were able to procure and get it, because this is adjustable. Okay, as the load decreases, the height of this goes on increasing, so that it remains at a uniform height to the worker, and he doesn't need to bend too much when the bin is empty. So it remains at a standard height when the worker is working. Okay. So this trolley, which was proposed instead of a plastic bin, okay, it has a height of 11 inches, width this much, length this much. Okay, so when it is when it is fully loaded and it is compressed, the height is 6 inches. So the variation you can see, its height varies from 6 inches when there is a load on the trolley, means all clothes are there and the worker is picking up clothes, stitching it, okay. Its weight goes on decreasing and accordingly its height increases. Features. Now this is the feature of that trolley, okay. So you can just see that this is 6 inches, okay. When it is fully loaded, all the clothes are there and it is bent, so you can see that it is 6 inches, and he doesn't need to bend. And when it is empty, okay, when all the clothes has been taken off, so the height is 11 inches, so it has gained 5 inches. So you can just see that how much bend the body is there. He's not bending that body to that extreme angle. We just have a glimpse of the earlier one where, yeah, just see how much bending he was doing it, okay, on the stool which they are using it. So we have suggested the replacement of that bin with this trolley, okay. After studying this, we find that it reduces excess pressure on the spinal disc, okay, and it helps in improving sitting posture. It will reduce absenteeism to some extent. Now, this is an indirect application which we have found out, that when the body is not stressed, when it is not fatigued, okay, so naturally it will, its consequences are that it will result in less absenteeism. So they will try to work more, they will be more productive in that way. It helps in easy movement of bins. So bins can also be where earlier they were just pushing it in that way. Now the trolley has got a wheel, so it will be easier to push that. It increases the productivity, improves product quality, because the workers, they, when you are working and when your body is paining and it is getting fatigued, you are giving more attention towards your body as compared to the product which you are producing. So indirectly, it was improving the product quality. Now this is one operation, the moon attachment operation, which during stitching they were doing it. Okay, and just see before implementing these two changes, okay, in one of the reading they found that it was taking 65 seconds, and after that it was taking, now these are from the different workers, these readings, 10 readings, average time output per day, okay. So 65 seconds, and then with that trolley and the chair in place, it got reduced to 52, okay. So if we see the average output per day, okay, that earlier it was 900, and after these changes, okay, because these are sample changes which they have observed after implementation, and from 900 it increases to 1080, almost an increase of about 20%, okay. That is a very good amount, because if we see the amount of investment or the changes which they have made is not so much that the company is not ready to do that, but they were very eager when they found out that if such changes have produced this much increase in the output, so they were ready to do the changes in all the sections of the company. Okay, so this was just a graphical plot of that similar data. Okay, and then there was another operation which is called as placket attachment. That is just slightly shown, this operation which they were doing it. Okay, and before that they were taking 120 seconds, and there was a reduction of lot much time. You can just see from 120 to 94 seconds. Okay, here also there is a lot of improvement. When we see, this is only about the few workers, but there are so many workers in the company. If we study that as a whole, there will be a very drastic change in this. Same data shown in the form of a bar chart. Okay, now just have a glimpse on the cost analysis. What the earlier the investment they were doing it, and now what we have proposed. The cost of the stool, the hard stool which they were having, they said they had procured it at a cost of around 790 rupees. And the proposed chair was hardly 950, because this 950 is that the on a large scale when we purchase, this will cost you 950. Okay, so the difference is only 160 rupees when we see as compared to the stool and as compared to the chair. Okay, we have not included any maintenance cost because they were saying that the chairs need somewhat maintenance after some time, whereas the stool is made of steel rod, so they don't need any mishandling may also not result in any damage, whereas chairs needs careful handling. Okay, so we that maintenance part is we have not included in this study, so we only compared the initial cost. Okay, and this is before the output and after the output. Okay, the pieces difference in production when we compare it with that. So this was that. And in fact, this is very important when we were able to tell them that this is how the cost is justified, and we compare the amount, okay, amount of profit this will give you, so that maintenance costs is easily justified in this. And even we also suggested them that if you train your workers to properly handle their chairs and properly maintain their equipment, so no damage will be there and it will have a very long life as compared to the earlier stools and other plastic bins they were using. Okay. So the third observation, when where they were lifting these raw materials, okay. So we suggested, in fact, in one of the stores, they were able to locate this, okay, and they said that why you have kept this rack in a store, and why can't you place all these raw material which they have got here in this section for stitching, that they should be properly placed on these racks, okay. So they agreed for that, but we found that still after providing the racks, the posture to pick up the material from the lower shelf was not right. As early observation, this posture can again lead to some back problems. Okay, because even in this case, if you are all these clothes, these are placed on the lower rack, the person here who will be picking up this material from this rack, he'll be again bending his back to a great extent, and that again will result to the musculoskeletal disease. So we suggested some changes in this. Okay, now see, just when he's picking up, because they were to pick the fabric from the lower shelf of the rack in the same way as they were picking earlier. Okay, so this is how they were earlier picking up the material, and if we place it in the lowest rack, so the same will be the posture where you are bending your back too much. Okay, so we suggested that at least they should follow when they are picking up, okay, that material from the ground level, they should follow this posture, which will help them in not stretching their back. Okay, just see that standing, just sit down so that in this posture your back is not bent to that extent. Lift it from the bottom, then try to stand up, okay, and then take it forward. Okay, then after this study, then they had done that environmental factor aspect, that is the first aid boxes, health awareness posters they have used. Okay, but the condition of their first aid boxes, okay, was very much in a very shameful state. The in fact, this is very important aspect of first aid. The first aid is the most basic and immediate treatment for any injury or illness, because they were doing stitching jobs, and many at times they were just damaging their fingers or any part of the body. For that they need first aid, but there was no such provision in the section of that company where they had carried out this study. Okay, and they were simply using some thrown away clothes and tying it on the fingers or wherever they are getting hurt. Okay, no such ointment or any first aid was there. The objective is to provide quick relief. The objective of the first aid is to provide quick relief to injured workers before they are taken to a hospital or a doctor. The first aid is just an instant help before the injured person can be attended to by a doctor. Okay. So contents, usually in the first aid box should be according to the local laws, because it depends upon different places. They have different laws in place, and And as per the law, then the different content has to be kept in the first aid box. Okay. So there has to be some bandage. Again, that bandage has to be of different sizes, not only of one size, but different sizes. Antiseptic lotion, antibacterial ointment, some eye wash solution, sterilized cotton, some disposable gloves, scissors, and pain relief tablets. So these are some of the standard specifications which are there for the first aid boxes. And just see the first aid box, which no doubt they had the first aid box, but just see the content, all everything was missing. No, nothing about any list was there that what all things are there, when it has been replaced. Some ointment was there, but it was again expired one. So there was first aid box, but first aid equipment and medicine were not according to the content list. There was no content list and no instructions regarding first aid box. So everything was missing. Just for the sake of making a provision, it was there that they had provided that, but contents were all missing. So what these people did, they forced the management to okay get these, because hardly they that cost any not much. So all these medicine and everything was provided there in the boxes. The list was there. All instructions were kept in place so that they knew that what all ointments are there, and replacements were suggested that after regular time they should be replaced. Okay. Then the other aspect which they have carried out, that they have tried to provide some posters in the sections, and just to make them aware about the some protective equipment where they need to use it. So personal protective equipment, which refers to protective clothing, helmet, goggles, or other garment designed to protect the wearer's body from injury. Okay. Now these were there because many times the workers, they were coming dressed in such type of clothes, okay, which are not good when you're doing that type of stitching operations or lifting operations, and that way they were harming themselves. Okay, so they were suggested to wear some proper dress. Okay, and then they should use some mask and use these foot, because some of the workers were without their slippers or shoes. In fact, they were working there, so they were advised to use it. That was beneficial for them. So such type of awareness was created, and they were told, and these were some of the posters which they have tried to fix up at different locations, just to tell them that these are beneficial for them. Okay. So in fact, there was no instructions also about the machine, that how to use it. Okay, no doubt, because the manager was saying that we have workers who know how to work on the machines, so they don't need any specific instructions. So we tell them, okay, no, no doubt they don't need that instruction, but at least some standardized instruction should be there so that they know that this is how the machine has to be used. So this was in brief about the case study.